I have to ask a couple of political questions to wrap this up here. 2012 being obviously an election year, not just for president, but in Virginia, contested Senate race. You, as a very popular politician in the state of Virginia, among Virginia voters, you have still very high approval. What kind of role do you play in the November election in Virginia?
Well, obviously, I'm going to do all I can to help both Tim Kaine and President Obama get reelected. I think I may have more effect with Tim. And I'm going to be campaigning for him in the coming weeks as he does his formal announcement tour. I think he would bring that kind of common sense, common ground, get stuff done approach to the Senate. I think I can be helpful to the president as well. I think Virginia's going to be a key state. I think that's good for Virginia, whether you're for the president or you're for the Republican nominee, because that means both candidates are going to have to focus on Virginia and focus on our issues and address them. I think it's going to be a tight race in Virginia for both Tim Kaine and Barack Obama. End of the day, I think the president will be successful and Tim will be successful, but it's going to be probably by a thin margin. So I don't think either campaign can take Virginia for granted.
How much do you pay attention to Richmond, since you were there for a few years, obviously, and had so much to do with things that are being built upon even now?
Well, I pay a lot of attention to Richmond. I read about what's going on in Virginia every day in my clips. I talk to a lot of legislators still on both sides of the aisle. I was pretty disappointed in the tenor of the General Assembly this year, in that a lot of the issues, social issues that came up, I don't think that's where most Virginians were at in terms of what they wanted the legislature to deal with, which is, how do we make sure our schools are good and our roads are fixed, and we stay a pro-business state, but also a state that's moving forward in terms of job growth. Instead, we became the brunt of a lot of late night jokes and kind of Virginia became that outlier state. I don't think that's good for business. I don't think that's good for our image. So I care deeply about how Virginia's headed. One of the things I've been trying to work on has been, one of the unique things about Virginia. When I first got involved, as you know, I didn't grow up here. I came here as an adult. But Virginians always have felt this great connection to each other. People in Waynesboro knew people in Richmond, and they knew people in Winchester, and they knew people in Norfolk. There was a connectivity amongst Virginians. Maybe Northern Virginia was always kind of out there a little bit, but the rest of the state kind of all had a connectivity. And that went from business to politics and what have you. That started to fade a little bit. And I've been trying to think, how can we reconnect people so that Chris Graham knows who's doing exciting, cool stuff in Norfolk as well. Doesn't do anything with politics, but just that we have that connection as Virginians. So we're going to be having a major leadership summit with the University of Richmond in June. We brought together a group of kind of 35 to 50-year-old business and community leaders a week ago to try to start that. Because one of the things I think we always felt as Virginians is that we were somewhat special. Still believe that. But that specialness came from kind of a love of Virginia that transpired, that went beyond politics, that went beyond just affection for your own region. And if we lose that, and this is a little bit of what seemed to be starting to splinter in Richmond this year, then it's not good for Virginia.
Last question. I know people on both sides of the political aisle who would want me to ask this question. Mark Warner explored a run for president a few years ago. Certainly, you would potentially have a Senate race in 2014 if you were to decide to run for re-election there. You're still a young guy politically. Is that something that still you think is out there for you in the future, potentially, possibly?
Christy, we'll let me interrupt. I did know when I didn't run in 2006 that, on any kind of statistical basis, that was probably going to be my best shot ever. It was still going to be a long shot, but it was probably your best chance. So, and I decided when I didn't do it at that point that I wasn't going to lead my next X number of years of my life trying to get ready to get back exactly to that position. I think there are candidates, there may even be candidates that are running this time, that it seems like that aspiration governs everything in their life. And I think you lose a little something. I think that, if you do the job you're hired to do and do it well and get something done, opportunities present themselves. But that only happens if you're then willing to take risks, and if you're always worried about what's going to happen next, then you don't take those risks. You sure as heck don't take on the established order of both political parties the way I am right now, on this debt and deficit stuff, because I've made the Democrats every bit as mad as I've made the Republicans, if all you're trying to do is plan your next political campaign.